Carl Panzram, Top 10. Most twisted serial killer you've never heard of. Welcome, true crime enthusiasts. Prepare to be unnerved as we delve into the life of Carl Panzram, one of the most twisted serial killers you've probably never heard of. His life is a disturbing tale of violence, hatred, and unrelenting evil. Imagine a man whose very essence was filled with malevolence and a desire to inflict pain and suffering. In this gripping countdown, we will explore the top 10 most shocking facts about Carl Panzram, from 10 to 1. Get ready for a chilling journey into the mind of a man who epitomized pure malevolence and left a trail of terror in his wake. His story is not just one of brutality, but also a reflection of the failures in society that helped shape such a monster. Let's dive deep into this dark abyss together. Number 10. A life of crime from the start. Carl Panzram's criminal career began at an alarmingly young age. Born in 1891, he was sent to a reform school at age 11 for petty theft, where he was brutally abused. What if the very institutions meant to reform actually sowed the seeds of deeper criminality? This early exposure to violence and cruelty only fueled his rage and contempt for humanity. His time in reform school turned him from a troubled youth into a hardened criminal, setting the stage for a life filled with increasingly heinous acts. Panzram's early years were marked by a series of escapes and escalating crimes, painting a grim picture of a future criminal mastermind. His encounters with the harsh realities of institutional abuse made him distrustful and more aggressive, hardening his resolve to retaliate against society. Number 9. Escaping justice and leaving a trail of terror. Throughout his life, Panzram was a master of evasion, frequently escaping from jails and reformatories. Imagine the fear that gripped communities knowing a ruthless criminal was on the loose. His ability to slip through the fingers of law enforcement allowed him to continue his spree of violence and destruction across the United States. Each escape was followed by a series of brutal crimes, including arson, burglary, and assault, leaving a trail of devastation in his wake. Panzram's knack for escaping justice not only prolonged his reign of terror, but also highlighted the flaws in the early 20th century penal system. His frequent escapes underscored his cunning and relentless nature, making him a relentless threat wherever he went. Number 8. The making of a monster. Panzram's brutal philosophy. Panzram's worldview was as dark as his actions. He believed in inflicting as much pain and suffering on others as possible, seeing it as a way to avenge the wrongs done to him. What if a person's philosophy of life was built entirely on hatred and revenge? His writings reveal a mind consumed by anger and a desire to make others suffer as he had. Panzram's brutal philosophy justified his heinous acts in his own twisted mind, providing a chilling insight into his motivations. His writings remain some of the most disturbing documents in criminal history, showcasing the depths of his depravity. This philosophy wasn't just theoretical, it was a driving force behind every heinous act he committed, making his crimes even more terrifying. Number 7. The international crime spree. Panzram's crimes were not confined to the United States. He traveled extensively, committing atrocities across multiple continents. Imagine a criminal so relentless that he leaves a global trail of destruction. From arson in the United States to murder in Africa, Panzram's international crime spree was marked by an unparalleled level of brutality. His travels only broadened the scope of his violence, making him a menace on a global scale. Panzram's ability to commit crimes internationally highlighted the lack of coordinated law enforcement efforts across borders at the time. His crimes on foreign soil showed that his evil knew no boundaries, making him an international threat. Number 6. The yacht murders. One of the most chilling episodes in Panzram's life was his acquisition of a yacht, which he used to lure and murder unsuspecting sailors. What if a seemingly charming invitation to sail the seas turned into a deadly trap? Panzram would hire sailors under the guise of needing a crew, only to rob and kill them once they were isolated at sea. This calculated method of murder showed a level of premeditation and cold-bloodedness that was truly terrifying. The yacht murders epitomized Panzram's cunning and ruthlessness, making him a predator of the highest order. His ability to deceive and murder in such a calculated manner underscored his terrifying prowess as a serial killer. Number 5. Confessions of a Killer. Panzram's autobiography, written while he was in prison, is a shocking account of his life and crimes. What if the most horrifying tales of murder and mayhem were told by the perpetrator himself? In his writings, Panzram confessed to over 20 murders and countless other crimes, expressing no remorse for his actions. His detailed confessions provide a chilling glimpse into the mind of a serial killer who reveled in his own evil. Panzram's autobiography is not only a catalogue of his crimes, but also a testament to his unapologetic embrace of his dark nature. His candid recounting of his crimes, devoid of any remorse, makes his story all the more chilling and real. Number 4. The transformation from victim to victimizer. Panzram's life story is also a tragic example of how abuse and neglect can transform a person into a monster. Imagine the cycle of violence perpetuated by a society that fails its most vulnerable members. From his early experiences of abuse in reform schools to his time in prison, Panzram endured unimaginable cruelty that shaped his worldview. This transformation from victim to victimizer is a poignant reminder of the potential consequences of systemic failure in addressing and rehabilitating troubled individuals. Panzram's life is a stark illustration of how deep-seated trauma can manifest in the most horrific ways. His journey from a victim of abuse to a perpetrator of unimaginable violence serves as a grim warning of the cyclical nature of violence. Number 3. The relentless pursuit of death. Throughout his life, Panzram was fixated on death, both in terms of inflicting it on others and his own eventual demise. What if a person's ultimate goal was to embrace death as a final escape from a life of torment? He frequently spoke of his desire for execution, seeing it as the only fitting end to his life of crime. Panzram's relentless pursuit of death underscored his nihilistic outlook and his belief that life was a series of meaningless events best ended as swiftly as possible. His obsession with death added a macabre layer to his already terrifying persona. His desire for death wasn't just an end, but a final act of defiance against a world he despised. Number 2. The final capture and confession. Panzram's final capture in 1928 marked the end of his reign of terror, but not before he provided a full confession of his crimes. Imagine the chilling relief felt by communities knowing that a serial killer was finally off the streets. His capture and subsequent confessions to multiple murders and other crimes shocked even the most seasoned law enforcement officials. Panzram's final capture was a pivotal moment in criminal history, providing closure to many of his crimes, but also exposing the harrowing details of his life. His willingness to confess without remorse made his trial and sentencing a mere formality. The capture brought an end to his violent spree, but also opened a window into the dark soul of one of history's most brutal criminals. Number 1. The legacy of Carl Panzram. Carl Panzram's legacy is one of horror and caution. What if the story of one man's evil could serve as a warning to future generations about the depths of human depravity? His life and crimes continue to be studied by criminologists, psychologists, and true crime enthusiasts, providing insights into the mind of a serial killer. Panzram's legacy is not just one of terror, but also a grim reminder of the potential for darkness within humanity. His story serves as a stark warning of the consequences of unchecked cruelty and the importance of addressing and preventing such evil in society. His life and actions stand as a haunting reminder of the profound impact of early trauma and the importance of societal intervention. Thank you for joining us on this disturbing journey into the life of Carl Panzram. If you found this video compelling, please hit the like button, subscribe to our channel.